reasons after California's Dianne Feinstein and Pennsylvania's John Fetterman, and with pressing issues on Capitol Hill, including the federal deficit and the debt ceiling, inflation, and rising interest rates. Democratic Congressman Jerry Nadler blaming Republicans.
If we hadn't passed the 2003 Bush tax cut and the 2017 Trump tax cut, the budget would be in surplus and we wouldn't be facing the problems we are now with the extended deficits.
Republicans blame Democrats for runaway spending. President Biden will be in Philadelphia later today to talk about his budget plan. 3 Los Angeles police officers are in stable condition after being shot last night by a parolee at large who barricaded himself inside a building in East L.A.
Every day, the men and women of the Los Angeles Police Department put themselves in harm's way. A reminder that the danger is very real.
L.A. Mayor Karen Bass, police say the suspect is in custody. Parts of California bracing for another round of severe weather. Up to 8 inches of rain now possible along California's northern coast, with ongoing states of emergency in nearly 3 dozen counties due to crippling snow. You're listening to ABC News.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-330-1991. That's 1-800-330-1991. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-330-1991. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Loud protests in Israel over Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to overhaul the court system. The protesters in Tel Aviv gathering as U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin heads to the city to meet with the Prime Minister. At the top of the agenda, U.S. concerns over the escalation of violence in the West Bank. The bodies of 2 Americans killed in an attack in Mexico last week are expected to be returned to U.S. soil this morning.
Autopsies have been performed on the bodies of Zindel Brown and Shayid Woodard in Mexico. A second set of exams is planned after they arrive in Texas. Brown and Woodard were with Latavia McGee and Eric Williams when their minivan came under attack by gunmen who threw all 4 into a pickup truck and sped away. McGee and Williams survived the ordeal. Brown and Woodard did not. Investigators believe the kidnappers mistook the Americans for rival human traffickers. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
The head of Norfolk Southern Railway expected to testify before a Senate committee this morning. He's being called after several derailments, including the one in East Palestine, Ohio, that dumped toxic chemicals. He's an actor, best known for one iconic role.
If I were a rich man.
Israeli actor Chaim Topol, nominated for an Academy Award for his portrayal of TV in Fiddler on the Roof, has died. One of Israel's most celebrated actors, he starred in dozens of other films, including the 1980s Flash Gordon.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but how do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online.
Does that old tractor or lawnmower have more electrical tape or duct tape holding it together than you want to admit? Well, maybe it's time to see Phil Sheehan and his staff at NC Tractor for a new Massey Ferguson tractor or mower. Massey Ferguson is a company that's been around for over 175 years. That says a lot about a company. And paired with Phil Sheehan, who's been in business for over 25 years, that says a lot about his Phil and his staff. Knowledgeable about their product, and they stand behind every sale. Massey Ferguson is the last tractor you'll ever need. NC Tractor, a dependable and reliable company that'll be there after the sale. NC Tractor on Railroad Avenue in Rutherfordton. And your forecast for today going into the weekend, it's going to be partly cloudy today with highs around 65. Cloudy tonight, chance of rain with lows around 45 degrees. Tomorrow, cloudy, showers likely, highs around 60. Partly cloudy overnight, lows around 40, but that wind chill around 35 degrees. Partly cloudy for Saturday, highs around 60. Partly cloudy Saturday night, lows around 35. And for Sunday, partly cloudy, here comes more rain. Highs around 55. Cloudy overnight, maybe a chance for a shower, lows around 40. And starting the week off again, Monday, partly cloudy, highs around 60. Partly cloudy overnight, lows around 35. That wind chill, more like 30 degrees. And then Tuesday, sunny, highs again around 55 degrees. Right now, 38 degrees under clear skies at WCAB. Our obituaries this morning, Frances Irene Hauser passed away on March the 7th. Arrangements are incomplete and will be announced by Crow's Mortuary. James Jed Doggett passed away March the 1st at the age of 59. Arrangements incomplete and will be announced by Matt Mahan's Funeral Home. Paul Kelly, 58, passed away on Monday, February the 27th. Arrangements incomplete and will be announced by Crow's Mortuary. Christopher Kimbrell, 35, of Ellenboro, passed away on Tuesday. Arrangements are incomplete and will be announced by Washburn and Dorsey Funeral Home. Linda Lynn Nolan Kimmerate passed away on Tuesday, March the 7th. Pageant King is in charge of the arrangements for Linda Lynn Nolan Kimmerate, and her arrangements are incomplete. Yvonne Liz Owens passed away on March the 7th. Arrangements are currently incomplete and will be announced by Matt Mahan's Funeral Home. Kay Keeter Collins, age 77, passed away on Saturday, March the 4th, at Oak Grove Healthcare Center, where she was a resident. Born in Rutherford County, at her request, no formal services will be held. Memorials may be made to Hospice, the Carolina Foothills, at Post Office Box 336, Forest City, North Carolina, 28043. Pageant King Mortuary in charge of the arrangement. In charge of the arrangements for Kay Keeter Collins. William Bill Zabo, 94, of Rutherford, passed away on Friday, March the 3rd. A graveside service is being held today at 4 o'clock at the Britton Presbyterian Church Cemetery. The Rutherford County Honor Guard will do military rites. Visitation will be from 2 until 3:30 this afternoon at Washburn and Dorsey Funeral Home. Washburn and Dorsey in charge of the arrangements for William Bill Zabo, 94, of Rutherford. Joan Moore Clark, 76, of Ellenboro, passed away on Saturday, March the 4th. The family will receive friends from 3 until 5 today at Eggers Funeral Home. The memorial service will start at 5 o'clock in the A.C. McKinney Memorial Chapel at Eggers Funeral Home. Eggers Funeral Home Cliffside in charge of the arrangements for Joan Moore Clark. Kathy Dalton, 67, of Rutherford, passed away on Sunday, March the 4th, at Hospice. Funeral services are at 2 o'clock today at the Spindale Fellowship Holiness Church. Burial will be in the Spindale Fellowship Holiness Church Cemetery. The family will receive friends 1 hour prior to the service at the church. Harrelson Funeral Home is in charge of the arrangements for Kathy Dalton, age 67, of Rutherford. Yvonne Liz Annette Mathis Owens, 71, of Boston, passed away on Tuesday, March the 7th, at Atrium Health, Cleveland and Shelby. The family will receive friends from 2:30 until 3:50. This will be tomorrow afternoon at the Second Baptist Church in Rutherford. Funeral services will be at the Second Baptist Church beginning at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Those are the arrangements for Yvonne Liz Annette Mathis Owens, age 71, of Boston, and Matt Mahan's Funeral Home is in charge of her arrangements. You can hear the complete obituaries at 11:35 this morning and then at 5:08 later this afternoon as part of the Afternoon Call-Around Report. It's time now for Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, no question there is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits and all kinds of great content. please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us. On this Thursday, without partisan rancor, let's take a look at Monday's airing of the January 6th Capitol riot tape and do a true-false analysis. Number one, every protester who entered the U.S. Capitol on that day, January 6th, broke the law. True. Some of the protesters were peaceful after entering. True. Some were violent. True. The Fox News presentation downplayed the violence. True. Police officers died because of the riot. False, with an explanation. Officer Brian Sicknick suffered a stroke and died shortly after the riot, but medically, the cause of death cannot be attributed to the protesters. President Biden, Attorney General Garland, and numerous politicians accused the Capitol trespassers of murder. True. So did members of Brian Sicknick's family. True. It is possible to understand the riot by watching the Fox edited tape. False. With 40,000 hours of video boiled down to a few minutes, just about any point could be made. Some MAGA conservatives believe the riot was not a serious issue. True. So Democrats say the riot was not a serious issue. False. Unlike conservatives who differ on the historical impact of the riot, all liberals believe it was an insurrection. And finally, President Trump directly caused the riot. False. That case remains weak. Back in a moment. If you are a timeshare owner, you're probably upset that your yearly dues continue to increase. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and done in a specific time frame. They're the only company you can trust, having helped more than 18,000 owners legally and permanently get out. So please call Lone Star Transfer 855-551-7066 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
To Texas cattlemen, Dodge City, Abilene, Caldwell, Ellsworth, Hayes, and Newton were all spelled with dollar signs. They were the end of the trail for cattle drives. Were it not for cattle and the cowboys, they would probably have never grown beyond a few shacks and a dusty road. But on March 7, 1885, the Kansas legislature passed a bill that prohibited Texas cowboys and their cattle from coming into Kansas between March and December. What's going on here? Actually, four things. First, the future of Kansas's cowtown industry was very shaky at best. Railroads were being built directly to Texas, and soon Kansas railheads would no longer be needed. Second, it had been discovered that the plains of Kansas were good for more than just providing feed for passing cattle. Farmers were planting crops. Although the cattlemen attempted to respect the farms, strays created havoc with crops. The third, and probably the most important reason, was that Texas cattle were carriers of a tick fever. Texas cattle had become immune to the disease, and since it didn't affect humans, there was no big concern. But as the cattle passed through Kansas, ticks would infect the local dairy cows. And then there was the straw that broke the camel's back. The residents of these cattle towns were fed up with the rowdy cowboys and the messy cattle. So, the bottom line was that most of Kansas was behind this seemingly radical move by the legislature. You've just heard another story from Old West Radio. I'm Dakota Livesay.
Hi, I'm Dr. Gordon Christensen, and if you're a dentist as I am, or you know a dentist, please take a moment to listen. When I became a dentist, I learned how quickly poor oral health can lead to other serious health problems. And for people without access to care, these problems can spiral very quickly. I wanted to help, but I wasn't sure how I could until I joined Dental Lifeline Network. It's a nonprofit that has helped us literally change the lives of people in our communities. DLN asked dentists to volunteer to see just one of the many patients in need in your area. It's very simple. DLN screens those in need and coordinates an initial appointment that takes place in the comfort of the dentist's own office and on their schedule. Right now, there's a wait list for patients in need in your community. I'm asking fellow dentists who will join me in seeing one patient per year.
Learn more about Dental Lifeline Network at willuc1.org. That's willuc1.org.
It's 15 minutes, make it 16 minutes past 7 o'clock at WCAB, and it's time to start the call-around portion of our morning report. We start with the Sheriff's Department, and we have Deputy McComas on the phone with us this morning. Good morning, Deputy McComas.
Good morning. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How about you?
Perfect.
What you got to report this morning?
In the past 24 hours, we've had 209 calls. We currently have 168 in the jail, and we made 16 arrests. As far as incidents go, Pamela Campbell reported a felony larceny that was in the area of Lionel Street. We have state of North Carolina was the victim in possession of methamphetamine case and drug paraphernalia and marijuana, and that's all we have for the incidents. Moving on to the arrests that we had, Rashad Carson was arrested on a failure to appear with a misdemeanor. Joseph Hill was arrested on a failure to appear on a misdemeanor as well. He was given a $500 secure bond. Christopher Todd Green was arrested for misdemeanor larceny, inmate possession of tobacco, and providing tobacco to an inmate. He had a secure bond of $6,000. McDonald Wingo was held on a no bond for assault on a female. Carolyn Hogwin was charged with resisting a public officer as well as failure to appear on a felony and failure to appear on a misdemeanor. Her bond was $53,000. Lisa Wilson had a failure to appear. It was a misdemeanor. She's currently held on a $500 bond. Donald Owens was found in possession of methamphetamine, drug paraphernalia, and marijuana, currently held on a $1,500 bond. And Marquise Davis has a secure bond of $1,000 for a failure to appear, which was a misdemeanor. He has 2 counts. And that's all we have for today.
Deputy McComas, thank you very much for that report, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Cheryl, I've been talking to Tommy and David, the outside salesmen at Henson Building Materials in Forest City. They're going to help us navigate through our remodeling project.
Well, I know they have tons of experience, so we'll be in good hands.
Good hands is right. Even professional builders shop there because they trust the quality products and service.
And did you know they have a great relationship with our community, too? Oh, they're so nice.
Henson Building Materials, 177 Duke Street, Forest City.
Building starts here.
It's 18 minutes past 7 o'clock. We've got 911 and Lindsay on the phone with us this morning. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning.
What you got to report this morning?
In the past 24 hours, Rutherford County 911 Communications has processed 350 911 calls and administrative calls, which consisted of 32 EMS under law enforcement, 182 Sheriff's Office, 84 Forest City, 4 Lake Lure, 30 Rutherfordton, and 29 Spindale. Under fire calls, Forest City had a motor vehicle accident, and that is all.
Thanks, Lindsay. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
To win in sports, you must adjust your strategy as the game changes. The same is true of investments. Why not let Andrew Tisdale help you create a game plan for financial success? Call 828-287-9197 and get started today. That's Andrew Tisdale, 828-287-9197.
And from 911, we go to SDO area, Ruby Taylor. Good morning, Ruby.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
I'm okay.
Good. What you got to report this morning?
The fire department didn't have any calls. On my birthday counter, I got Teresa Sams, Darrell Gibson, and Merrill Wilkie having birthday today, and Mr. and Mrs. Rodney Queen is having anniversary. Hope all these people have a nice day, and the signs are in the rains today and going to Secrets tomorrow. That's all I got, Lou.
All righty, Ruby. You have a good day. We'll talk to you later.
You too. Bye-bye.
It can be a tough call when it comes time to provide a daycare service for an aging parent or a loved one. You can always depend on Rutherford Life Services for a safe facility that offers medical monitoring, nutritional meals, fun activities, and is a loving environment. Rutherford Life is licensed by the State of North Carolina Division of Aging. They will be glad to answer any questions you may have. Call them at 288-1697. Rutherford Life Services offers a trained staff of professionals who you can entrust your loved one to. Rutherford Life Services is located at 230 Fairground Road in Spindale. And to give us the report from Chimney Rock, Chris Melton. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning.
How are you
today?
I'm good. How about you?
Great. Doing real good.
Watching this
Sitting
sunshine.
at 34 degrees.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah. A little chilly out there this morning. I ain't going to complain.
We got 39.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've had a good day again. Calls to report on either of the 3 departments in the area. So,
And if
can't
anybody's wondering why Chris says either department, he also covers the Forest City report. So it's good.
And Bills Creek.
And Bills Creek. Good thing everything's good and quiet. Yesterday there's a lot of fires reported yesterday morning.
Yeah, there was a few in the county, but nothing up our way. We was very fortunate.
All righty, Chris. Well, you have a good day, and we'll talk to you in the morning.
You too. We'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thinking about the departure of a loved one through death is a subject we don't like to talk about. However, pre-planning or prepaying for a funeral is a consideration and responsible thing to do. With so many options available today, it's important to speak with someone you can trust and someone who can help you find a balance between the emotional, spiritual, and financial needs of your loved ones. Crow's Mortuary and Crematory is recognized as one of the best family-run funeral homes. It's a family tradition, and they know how to care for your family. Any questions you might have, they will be happy to answer. Call Crow's Mortuary and Cremation Services at 286-2304.
22 minutes past 7 o'clock. We're in Boston, checking in with DeVern Upton. Good morning, DeVern.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm good. What's happening in the Boston area?
Well, we have a temperature of 37 degrees. Fire department had no calls. Food boxes will be given out at Washburn's Outreach. They're off of Piney Church Road from 9 to 12:30 today. And Friday night fire revival will be going on this Friday night at 6:30 at Faith Baptist Church there in Forest City. Pastor Brian Melton invites everyone out. And it's a benefit hot dog supper and singing for Tyler Pendleton, son of Melissa Carroll and Randy Pendleton, to help with medical expenses Friday from 5 to 6:30 is the supper. 7 o'clock is the singing at Pleasant View Community Church, Michael Drive, Forest City. Donations accepted and appreciated. Hope everyone has a safe day.
All right, DeVern, thanks for the report, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Well, we'll check in at Mount Vernon. We'll check in with Robbie in just a minute. First, I want to tell you about the drop-in Boston. They've got a meat market with steaks, pork chops, roast, filet mignon. They open at 6 o'clock, open until 9 o'clock. They've got a beautiful produce market, grapes, apples, just about everything you want. Good prices on milk, bread, chicken. I love the tater wedges. I love their tater wedges. That's what you're going to find in the deli. And this morning, stop by, get a biscuit, get a hot cup of coffee, or grab a Coca-Cola or a container of milk for the kids and take them on to school. You can get your propane tanks filled up, and you can call in your order. They'll have it ready for you. That's at the drop-in Boston.
Nobody gets a better deal than the customers at Sisk Family Ford. They have a proven record of the best deals. Sisk Family Ford, Rutherford County's only locally owned new car dealer, has recently been recognized as the #1 Ford dealer in customer satisfaction in the Southeast. That speaks well of their commitment to serve their customers well. Rutherford County's only locally owned new car dealership. That's Sisk Family Ford, Oak Street, Forest City.
And we head up to Mount Vernon, and Robbie Samuel's with us. Boy, I'm having a hard time on this morning report, I tell you what.
Well, that's all right. Sometimes we just have those mornings, don't we?
Yeah, we do. That's 2 in a row. Hopefully tomorrow's a whole lot better.
It will be. Tomorrow's Friday, so it'll be just fine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we need to go back and get us another hot dog. Oh, no, y'all didn't have a hot dog. What'd you get?
That's what I had, that foot long yesterday. It was real good.
Yeah, I just had a little hot dog and ordered French fries. Then I went back and got barbecue, take it home because me or Rocky, neither one wanted to cook supper.
Hey, I know the feeling there. It's shoot, by the time you do get home in the evenings, you don't feel like doing much. That's for sure.
Not when you get up this early, you don't.
That's right. Well, through the night, Hudlow and Robeson was quiet with calls, so that's good. And I just want to thank everybody for their effort with the blood drive yesterday. We ended up with a little over 30 donors, so that's really good. Real pleased with that. And I just want to remind everybody about this Saturday, the March the 11th, is going to be the ham supper at Mount Vernon Community Club. Be $12 plate, drive-through only. And also Saturday morning on the 11th, we're going to be doing a train. We're going to be doing a training on Green Street. So portions of that will be closed down Saturday morning for about hopefully no more than 6 hours, but you'll still be able to go through. There'll just be a little detour around where Robeson and Hudlow and Spindle's going to be doing some training together, and I'll have some more detail on that in the morning. And that'll start at 7 o'clock, Saturday morning, March the 11th. I don't know why I keep thinking December the 11th. Gosh.
I wasn't going to say
I'm
anything.
like you.
I wasn't going to say a word.
Oh, man. And also, Rutherford Fire Department is going to host a free car safety seat for car seats for children. It'll be March the 14th from 4 to 6 p.m. It will be at the fire department, and that's at 144 North Mitchell Street in Robeson. Just come by between those hours. They're going to be doing free car seat installation for children. And also, if you have any questions and you need your seat checked, they will also be there to assist you with that. And also, I'd like to give a shout out and a big happy birthday to my mama, Joyce Samuel. I hope she enjoys her day. And
Happy birthday, Joyce.
Yeah, she's maybe she's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed this morning. I don't know if she is or not, but she might be. But other than that, Lou, that's all we got going on, and I hope you have a good rest of your day and don't get tongue-tied like the rest of us. So maybe you can straighten that out on the next call.
Hopefully I can. You're going to have all the detour information and all the roads that are going to be kind of blocked off a little bit tomorrow?
We are. We're going to put it on Facebook, on the fire department's Facebook page too, so that way folks can look on that and see the detours, which way they can go. It's really not going to be too complicated, I can promise you that. It's just one little city block around and nothing that'll be out of the way, hopefully, for folks. So, like I said, hopefully it won't be closed no longer than 5 to 6 hours. But
I usually like to watch those. I usually like to watch that. Can you get into Second Baptist Church parking lot and watch?
Yes, you can. You can get in the Second Baptist Church. We're going to leave their driveways open. So you'll be able to sit in there and see what everybody's doing. And if you got any interest in the fire service, I'm sure whatever community you live in, they'll be more than happy to talk to you about it. You can put in your application, and maybe you can start serving your community.
I've always seen one-story houses burned by the fire departments, but I've never seen a two-story go down. So that's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a challenge for everyone, that's for sure. But glad that the church is giving us the opportunity to use it for some training. So, but I guess we'll see you and see how it goes Saturday anyway.
All righty, Robbie. Well, y'all be careful, and we'll talk to you again soon. In the morning.
All
All right.
All right. Sounds good. Talk to you then.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Wayne's Lunchbox can satisfy the pickiest of eaters at lunch or dinner or supper, whatever you want to call it. You can enjoy salads, sandwiches, a limited meat and veggie menu at lunchtime, and then for supper, your choice of a meat and vegetables. And Wayne's will be serving breakfast for supper the first of each month. Call on Wayne's for any catering event that you may have, offering catering service, so stop by 391 East Main Street in Spindale. Call 828-395-2225. Open Monday through Thursday, 11 until 2, for supper, 3 until 7. It is 7:31. 38 degrees right now under partly sunny skies. We're in the Cherry Mountain area with Sue Price. Good morning, Sue.
Good morning, Lou.
How are you this morning?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. What's happening in your area?
Well, it's kind of quiet. I hadn't had any calls from the fire department. It's just one of those quiet mornings. We're looking forward to it. Are we supposed to get rain today?
Moving in tonight and be rainy tomorrow.
Moving in tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, we've had some pretty days.
Yeah, and all the snow keeps going up above us.
I thought we would get one good snow, but don't know where we're going to or not.
Well, I went back, got on the internet this weekend, and I did go back and look. The blizzard of 93 was on March the 12th. And then, if you go back and look at the 3 Wednesdays in 1960, we've still got one more Wednesday to go. I'm sure that'll be March the 15th. That'll be the 3rd Wednesday of the month. So, if it doesn't snow by March 15th, I doubt it's going to.
I know. Oh, well, we just take what comes.
Yeah.
All right, I don't have any birthdays on either one of my calendars. No birthdays or anniversaries today, but we hope anybody that's having a birthday or anniversary will have a real good day on their special day and enjoy it. Remind everybody to turn their clocks up Saturday night.
There's a lot of confusion. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion on that. A lot of folks are seeing other states that opted out to do it, but we're still doing it. North Carolina still does it. We will turn our clocks ahead 1 hour.
And let's see, and the other announcements, the spring revival at Fairview Baptist Church, 19th through the 22nd. Sunday night service will be at 6:30, and Monday through Wednesday will start at 7 o'clock. And everyone's invited, and I think they're going to have a different speaker each night. So, looking forward to a good revival there at Fairview. And so far, that's the only announcement I have. It's just quiet and calm over here, looking for a good day, and I hope you'll have one, Lee.
You too, Sue. You and Richard have a good one. We'll talk to you in the morning.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Farm Bureau Insurance doesn't hire celebrities to push auto coverage. We think people might like to make decisions based on service and savings, not just because that guy from that show says it's a good idea. Instead of faces you know from your TV, we offer faces you know from your neighborhood, because we're headquartered in North Carolina with local agents right in your town. That's really the only thing we want to be famous for. North Carolina Farm Bureau Insurance, helping you is what we do best.
In Rutherford County, please call 287-2428.
North Carolina Farm Bureau Mutual Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Insurance of North Carolina, Inc., Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company, Jackson, Mississippi, an independent licensee of the Blue Cross and Blue Shield Association.
It's 27 minutes before 8 o'clock, and to answer your question, yes, ma'am. I certainly am.
So Lou is multitasking, answering phones and doing the show, so that's great.
Yeah, I do it all.
Well, it is 39 degrees up here in Shingle Hollow this morning, and the fire department was all quiet, except for the sirens I heard yesterday. I thought, what's going on? I heard, and I was on the phone and called over to Whistle Stop Bakery, and I heard the siren over there at the same time through the phone, and but it was tornado drills.
Yep.
So we're glad that they can do those, and I'm glad we can hear them.
Mm-hmm. Always good to be there, just in case.
Yes, yes. It's good to have fire drills at home, too. And one of the things that I hate that our children have to do in the schools is for those school shooting drills. Isn't that terrible?
Oh, God, they have to do those? I don't have any kids in school.
They do.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I guess it's safer to be safer, you know,
yeah,
to be sorry.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, we have a birthday this morning for Miss Alma Haynes. I think she turns 92 this morning, if I'm correct. And I have on my personal calendar Gayla Hudson, Todd McCurry, and Sierra McCurry. So I hope all three of those have a happy birthday. And for announcements, Pilgrim Way Baptist Church is still having their spring revival 2 more nights, tonight and tomorrow night, starting at 7 p.m. And there's different preachers each night, so tonight, tomorrow night, and special singing each night. Right now, that's all that I'm seeing, except for the barbecue. The barbecue at White House Community Clubhouse. They're going to have a Boston, it's not barbecue, it's Boston butt, 1 pint of white or red slaw and 1 pint of sauce for $45. And you can pick that up on April 9th, April 7th, that's a Friday, between 4 and 6. And I have the number somewhere. I'll call it out tomorrow. I have lost my little sheet of paper.
And there's something on there, too, if you want an extra container of slaw, or it's, what, $2, $3 extra they'll add to it?
It's $3 extra, and that's not bad. So you can have white slaw and red slaw.
Yep. And somebody's... Here's mine. I got it. Pickup is April the 7th between 4 and 6, and the number is 828-755-4319, the Boston Butt Sale. I got it for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And I like the red slaw, but my family likes the white slaw. I can remember when many years ago, when I was carrying my son in my stomach, I craved red barbecue slaw, and I'd send people if they were going through Forest City, to go to Hickory Log Barbecue and bring me back some slaw.
Oh gosh, was he born with red hair?
He wasn't.
Oh.
He wasn't born with red hair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, thank goodness, those redheads can be trouble.
Yeah, hot-tempered.
I bet I have made some redhead hot-tempered this morning by saying that, because they don't think they're hot-tempered.
I had a friend that it didn't take much for her kettle to boil over.
I have family that my Aunt Cindy, my Uncle James are true redheads, and my mother-in-law is a true redhead, so I tend to make them smile or get hot-headed, one or the other. Well, y'all have a wonderful day today. God bless you. Stay safe out there, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All righty. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Your car's best friend can be RS Speedy Lube Service Center. That's because RS Speedy Lube Service Center and Car Wash can keep your car or truck running clean with a regular oil change. They check the fluids and vacuum out the car and have you on your way in no time. Go next door for a radiator or transmission flush. Brakes, exhaust, CV joints, and service for big trucks and campers also available. Pull next door to the RS Speedy Automatic Car Wash and make your car happy with a clean, all under and all over car wash. It's all at RS Service Center and Car Wash on Railroad Avenue in Rutherfordton.
22 minutes before 8 o'clock, and in Union Mills, this driveway's steep, Brenda. Whew.
Is it?
I can get my cardio working here.
Yeah, if you're coming up mine, especially if you're walking, it's steep, yes. Of course, you've been up it, you know what it's like, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
But that's all right. Yesterday, I thought, why is this dog having such a fit? And I said, Izzy, what's wrong with you? And so I looked out, and I said a well-boring outfit. And I went to the front door, and he said, I'm sorry, said, GPS brought us up here. I said, yes, if you use GPS and you come, everybody comes up here. But I don't know why. And he was looking for something other on Joseph Road, which is the road off of Camp Creek. And I said, well, you just go back down and hang a right, and it's off out there in the woods or the field or up on the mountain. I don't know exactly where it's at because I ain't been down there to see.
Oh.
And he said, well, I'm sorry. I said, that's all right. It happens all the time. And it does. I don't know why GPS sends them up Running Creek Drive.
Well, I was going to a church where Jim's group was singing one night, and it was down in Caroline, and it sent me all around. Just sent me around the block twice. And I said, forget this. I'll find it myself. And I just looked for a steeple and went right to it.
There you go. It ain't always right.
No, it's not.
But we played some basketball last night, and we played it good. If they would play like that every time, they couldn't nobody touch them.
That's right. 85-61 last night, and they play tonight, same time.
Who do they play tonight?
Tonight they will play Virginia.
Virginia?
Uh-huh.
Okay. But they done, I just hope Baycott will be all right. He got hurt a little bit.
Oh, you got
that ankle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's weak. I'm sure it's weak, and he fell down and he couldn't walk. He hobbled off of the court, and they took him back in the back and worked on his ankle. He come back and played for about 5 minutes in the second half, and that was it. He didn't play no more, but they didn't need him last night. They done fine.
Yeah, they did good.
Yeah, I was proud of them. Well, let's see. Today is Thursday. It's a terrific Thursday, and I've got 38 degrees on the front porch. I don't have any birthdays, any anniversaries, and I don't have any announcements. So everything's just quiet up here, and we like it like that.
Yeah, we do.
And so I guess you better go to Ellenborough and check on Luther Sweet Thing and see if he's got his coffee and his biscuit and ready for the day.
All righty. Well, you have a good one.
Okay, catch you later.
All right, bye.
The cure for the common NASCAR show is PRN's Garage Pass. Hi, I'm Mark Garrow. We'll take you where others won't.
Yeah, we led the most laps. We won 4 races, most I've ever won in a season. So lots and lots of highlights.
Yeah, I mean, we knew the rules going in, so it's not like a complete shocker. You have to win at the end, and we won in the start in the middle of the season.
PRN's Garage Pass. It's 4 minutes that will keep you talking for hours.
Every morning, I open the door. Hello, stock. Hello, store. Building my business, building my dream. I'm glad to have radio on my team. It reaches my customers, and new ones too, and tells them about what we offer and do. I'm watching my budget. I have to spend smart. For me, radio is a good place to start. Radio works harder. Put it to work for you at radioheardhere.com.
Brought to you by this radio station to remind you that radio is heard here. Radio is heard everywhere.
Let the WCAB marketing team go to work for your business. It works. Call Tracy or Jim at 287-3356. 16 minutes before 8 o'clock. Last stop, Ellenborough, Luther Gilligan. Good morning, Luther.
Good morning, you two. Hope you're having a good day.
I am.
We're having a great time down here, just eating biscuits, drinking coffee.
I hear you men down there gossiping.
It's good. Yep. Talking business.
Oh, okay.
But it's quiet there. It's one fire department. Been quiet all day yesterday and all night last night. Said all they doing is sitting around drinking coffee this morning. Nothing going on down here, Lou. You have a great day up there. We'll talk to you next time.
All righty, Luther. Have a good one.
All right, take care now.
All right, bye-bye. Well, we've made it from the Sheriff's Department all the way to Ellenborough, and that's the Call Around Report for this morning on this Thursday, March the 9th. 39 degrees right now, sunny skies. And if you have a birthday or anniversary, you can call it in now. 287-3356. Tracy has made it in the front door, and she'll go ahead and take it for you. 287-3356. Get your birthdays and anniversaries in.
This is Gilbert with a reminder. Tax returns are due. If you haven't filed your tax returns yet, give me a call at 828-289-9300. And we're announcing our grand opening of our newest location at 704 Oak Street in Forest City. We now have 3 locations to better serve you: Tryon, Rutherfordton, and our newest location at Forest City. Give me a call at 828-289-9300.
Well, lunchtime, make sure you go to Granny B's. They have got some delicious sub sandwiches, and that wheat bread, it is just absolutely delicious. You can get a sub any way you want it. And right now they're open with those delicious Daylight Donuts. You can get a glazed, you can get a chocolate covered, you can get a chocolate covered cream filled, and they probably got some eclairs and some petit fours and just a lot of other nice donuts there. Well, come on, hit it. Well, celebrating a birthday today, Joyce Samuel, the mother of Robbie Samuel, who does our report every morning. Alma Haynes, Tyler McCurry, and Sierra McCurry all celebrating birthdays today. And we got about 90 seconds. You got 90 seconds to get your birthday or anniversary in. Call right quick, 287-3356. Get your birthday or your anniversary called in.
Pushed back to the sea at Dunkirk, the British Expeditionary Force that was sent to stem the advance of the Germans during World War II faced what appeared to be annihilation. A mood of despair settled over England. The cornered troops transmitted a three-word message: but if not. The British citizens knew the message meant that the troops would stand and fight to the death even if help did not arrive. The courage of their soldiers rallied the people of England. In an unprecedented action, thousands of private citizens and boats of all sizes headed across the English Channel in a gallant bid to rescue their army. The operation was an outstanding success. Nearly 350,000 British and Allied soldiers were saved from the advancing Nazis. The short phrase, "but if not," was taken from the Bible story of three teenagers in a foreign land who faced certain death because they were unwilling to violate their conscience. They told their captors they were sure God would protect them, but if not, they were prepared to go to their death. Their act of courage, just like the British troops, produced a positive response. You see, courage is contagious. Courageous individuals and groups are always needed. The true leader chooses the path which is right rather than the path of least resistance. Such a decision produces courage in others in the long term. You may be faced with just such a decision. Signal to your followers, "I will do right regardless." This is Bill Hostler with today's key to confident living.
Well, we had two late birthdays called in. Christy Spillman, she's 52 today, lives in Forest City, and Susan Herman. Now, you may not know who Susan is, but I'm going to tell you, Susan every year helps us with our newspapers. She gets our newspapers all set up so we can send them to the printer. So happy birthday to Susan Herman. Well, to all the folks who are joining us by the streamer, we're going to have to say sayonara to you for just a few minutes. We'll be back in just a little bit. And you'll be back at 8 o'clock in time for the ABC News and Little News. And then coming up at 9 o'clock, it's My Great America. And Butch is on his own this morning. So goodbye to you.
The latest from ABC's Rachel Scott.
His spokesperson tells me that McConnell was attending a private dinner in Washington, D.C. at a local hotel. He tripped. He was admitted to the hospital where he is receiving treatment. McConnell is 81 years old. He is the longest serving party leader in the history of the Senate. He's a survivor of polio who often talks openly about how he has difficulty climbing upstairs as an adult.
And no word on McConnell's condition. The head of Norfolk Southern Railway expected to testify before a Senate committee this morning to explain and apologize after several recent derailments, including the one in East Palestine, Ohio, that dumped toxic chemicals. The White House wading into the firestorm over Fox News host Tucker Carlson airing selected video clips from the January 6th insurrection, misleadingly showing officers calmly escorting rioters through the Capitol and suggesting it was a peaceful gathering. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre telling reporters it's shameful.
You literally can't believe the facts Tucker Carlson tells you. So say Fox's lawyers.
The Capitol Police called the depictions offensive, saying the video was cherry-picked. There's been no comment from Fox. In Virginia, no charges against a 6-year-old boy accused of shooting his first-grade teacher in a classroom. The local prosecutor says he's too young to understand the criminal justice system or be competent to stand trial.
The boy's family says he suffers from an acute disability. They claim the legally purchased gun he took to school had been locked away. The family is saying, we have been cooperating with local and federal law enforcement to understand how this could have happened. The prosecutor says he's still going through the evidence to determine any other potential charges.
ABC's Andrea Fujii. The war in Ukraine still raging, a barrage of some 90 deadly airstrikes overnight. You're listening to ABC News.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Out this hour, the latest look at jobless claims across the country.
Economists are expecting a slight increase in the number of Americans who filed for unemployment benefits last week to about 195,000, a number that's still historically strong. The report may get even more attention than it usually does since it's being released on the eve of an anticipated monthly employment report.
ABC's Daria Albinger. This afternoon, President Biden will be in Philadelphia to roll out his new budget proposal. It's expected to include plans to cut the deficit by nearly $3 trillion. But Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, says he hasn't talked with the president about the budget in weeks.
We can no longer ignore the major problem that we have. The size of our debt.
And still looming, the fact that the U.S. has reached the debt ceiling and Congress still has not approved raising it. Former NBA star Shawn Kemp arrested in Washington state after a shooting.
The 6-time All-Star was arrested in the parking lot of a local mall where police say 2 men in separate cars were involved in an altercation, leading one of the drivers to fire several shots. Kemp was arrested without incident and booked into the Pierce County Jail at around 6 p.m. local time. The former Sonic was drafted to Seattle in 1989 and played a total of 14 seasons in the NBA. Neither he nor his representatives could be immediately reached for comment. Jeff Podgela, ABC News, Seattle.
This is ABC News.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
I'm Derek Dennis.
Hello, Gillum in the Blue Room. Your forecast for today is going to be partly cloudy, highs around 65 degrees. Cloudy tonight, chance of rain, lows around 45. For tomorrow, cloudy, still more showers, highs around 60 degrees. Partly cloudy overnight, lows around 40, but that wind chill as low as 35 degrees. Partly cloudy for Saturday, highs warming around 60. Partly cloudy overnight, lows around 35. And then Sunday, cloudy, more showers on the way with highs around 55. Showers continue overnight, lows around 40. That's your forecast for WCAB. And taking a look at Monday and Tuesday, it's going to be cloudy on Monday, maybe with some more showers. Looking for highs around 55. Lows will be around 35, but that wind chill is going to be more like 30 degrees. And then for Tuesday, sunshine, highs around 55 degrees. We're up to 41 and beautiful sunny skies. In local news, if you missed it yesterday, the town of Spindale announced that Chad Nazelrod will be serving as its new police chief. Nazelrod, who is a native of Rutherford County, comes to Spindale with over 20 years in law enforcement and will lead the agency starting on March the 20th. Now, Nazelrod comes to Spindale after an extensive career in law enforcement, which began in 2001 at the Rutherford Police Department, where he rose to the rank of sergeant. While there, he was able to obtain his general instructor certificate and attend the law enforcement executive program at NC State University. In 2010, he joined the Sheriff's Department. There, he worked his way up to major, and in that position, he was responsible for overseeing the day-to-day operations at the Sheriff's Department. He also served as commander of the Sheriff's Emergency Response Team. The Spindale Police Department serves about 4,300 people. The department consists of 12 full-time officers and a reserve division providing law enforcement services, including traffic patrol, investigations, and animal control. Chief Nazelrod will relieve Interim Chief Kevin Lovelace, who has faithfully served the department since October 2022. The town of Spindale is extremely grateful for Kevin's leadership and service to the community during this time of transition, and congratulations to Chad Nazelrod, who will begin the position of police chief starting on March the 20th. Well, the Rutherford Trucking Company has cited a freight industry recession compounded by customers demanding concessions in the face of an economic uncertainty, the reason for a closure. The closure will affect about 200 employees, including 80 locally. News of the closing comes less than a year since FreightWorks touted aggressive expansion and the purchase of new Peterbilt trucks at a cost of $13.3 million. On Monday, Joyce Sakura, Vice President of Operations for FreightWorks, delivered the cheerful announcement to FreightWorks employees that the 11-year-old company was forced to close. She went on to say, if we don't do this now, it may end in our drivers being stranded and freight not reaching its destination. Choking back tears, she explained how market pressures had led to the core customers demanding that FreightWorks dramatically cut its rates, along with fewer deliveries in the wake of, quote, incredible freight recession, unquote. Sakura said the concessions could have cost the company millions of dollars, leaving it unable to pay payroll or fulfill other financial obligations, including payments on its new fleet of trucks. Now, while the company had previously weathered recessions, the current climate left the company with little choice but to fold, she went on to say. She also said, we're not going to pull through this one. Sakura said the freight recession was comparable to the 2019 recession caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, but worsened on February the 28th when they learned of new customer-demanded concessions. It was no longer economically feasible for FreightWorks to continue. Plans call for the company to complete its current deliveries, get its drivers home, and the trucks returned. They're offering bonuses to drivers to fulfill that plan. The closure marks a stark reversal of fortune for a company that seemed to be flourishing amid expansion. So a business closing in Rutherford County, closure affecting 200 employees, 80 of those locally. News of the closing comes less than a year since FreightWorks touted aggressive expansion and the purchase of new Peterbilt trucks at a cost of $13.3 million. It was announced on Monday that they are closing. Well, the Main Street Park in Rutherfordton, a small pocket park between Main and Central Streets, is in need of refurbishing, town leaders say. A fundraising event to support new flower pots and new native plants is now underway in memory of the late Butch Melton. Melton's family is spearheading the initiative through GoFundMe website. The family said, "Our mom was a lifelong resident of Rutherfordton and worked at Dalton's for 45 years, Kim Melton said. Dalton's is the name of the clothing store for decades that occupied one of the Main Street buildings adjacent to the park. Melton went on to say family members want to share their mother's passion for gardening and beauty. More than half of the goal, $8,000, has already been raised. Work on the park is expected to begin soon. Now, the upcoming Purple Martin Fabulous 4 Miler, a part of the Rutherford Outdoor Coalition Race Series, will raise funds this year to support construction of a new picnic shelter, and that will be in the Kiwanis Park, and that will be in memory of Eric Wells. The race will be on Saturday, April the 22nd, starting at 8 a.m., and the cost is $25 to register. Well, March is Red Cross Month, and for more than 130 years, heroic American Red Cross volunteers have provided hope and urgent relief to families and communities across this country in need. Now, this month, the community is invited to join in the life-saving mission of the Red Cross and be someone's hero by rolling up your sleeve and giving blood tomorrow from 1 until 6, and this will be at Spencer Baptist. No, I'm sorry, that's today. Today's Thursday. I'm sorry. It's today from 1 until 6 at Spencer Baptist Church on North Oak Street. Again, that bloodmobile today at Spencer Baptist Church from 1 until 6. Now, there'll be another also going on Tuesday, March the 14th. And this will be from 1:30 until 6:30 at the Gilkey School Community Center. Then another on Thursday, March the 30th from 10 until 2:30, and this will be at the Lake Lore Baptist Church. So mark it on your calendar to be at one of these three that are coming up today at Spencer Baptist Church from 1 until 6, Tuesday, March the 14th, 1:30 to 6:30 at the Gilkey School Community Center, and then Thursday, March the 30th at the Lake Lore Baptist Church. Well, more news right after this.
Mission Health Center Rutherford is now open in Forest City, a multi-specialty clinic with care for the whole family. From routine preventative care to the treatment of chronic conditions, our providers offer a personalized approach to meet your specific needs. Now accepting new patients. Call 828-659-5741 to make an appointment today. Mission Health Center Rutherford. Quality care close to home.
You already know Tri-City Tire Service is your complete and professional auto service, offering services in brakes, alignments, tune-ups, oil changes, inspections, lift kits, and of course a complete tire service. But did you know they also have tires for commercial, farm tractors, ATVs, and they also carry mowers, power equipment by Red Max. Tri-City Tire Service is located at 221 Daniel Road in Forest City. Give them a call at 828-287-8778. Tri-City Tire Service, your local tire and auto service center. Hungry? Lunchtime, dinner time, anytime is a good time to stop in at Gregory's Original Restaurant. Choose from fresh, delicious burgers, fries, sandwiches, pasta dishes, fresh salads, grinders, and so much more. All orders are prepared fresh and to perfection. Open Monday through Friday, 11 till 9, Saturdays, noon till 9, closed on Sundays. Call in or carry out. 828-287-2171. Located in the Park Lane Plaza in Rutherfordton, and DoorDash delivery is available. Fast and friendly service. That's Gregory's Original Restaurant. Well, a man convicted of murder and other violent crimes hoped to have his life sentence lessened during a recent court hearing. Instead, Travis McCord will spend the rest of his life in prison for his actions decades ago when he was a teenager. The now 49-year-old was resentenced to life in prison, followed by an additional 25 years for his part in the robbery, rape, and murder of Krista Byers in 1997. Now, the hearing took place in Cleveland County on Friday. Superior Court Judge Todd Pomeroy imposed the sentence. McCord was 16 when he committed the crimes and 18 when he was convicted. Now, since his conviction, the U.S. Supreme Court has ruled that defendants under the age of 18 at the time of the crime and convicted of life sentences have the right to a hearing about life sentence reduction. On February the 9th, 1997, a group of people were staying at the Governor's Inn in Shelby. A member of the group saw Byers staying in the room. Byers visited the group's room and bragged about her boyfriend's money and drugs next door. Several hours later, McCord, along with Marquette Ruff, Amy Sigmund, and Katina Langford barged into Byers' room welding a gun. McCord ordered Byers to lie face down on the bed and ordered the others to leave so he could rape her. McCord then put her into a car. The group left the motel in 2 cars. They traveled toward Pokeville and down a dirt road. McCord and Byers got out of the car, shot her in the face, according to previous testimony. He ordered each person to shoot the bound woman. Sigmund, Langford, and Ruff were each convicted of second-degree murder, kidnapping, burglary, and robbery with a dangerous weapon. Sigmund and Langford were released in 2017. Now, Ruff was convicted of the same offenses and is projected to be released in 2033. McCord was sentenced to life without parole, plus 25 years for first-degree murder, kidnapping, rape, burglary, and robbery with a dangerous weapon. A hearing was held in 2020 during which witnesses were called to help the defense establish mitigating factors in the case. The testimony focused on McCord's upbringing, the development of his brain at that age, and how he processed situations. Now, according to that testimony, McCord's life started in East New York in 1980. Relatives described a life entrenched in drug use, sometimes violence. Travis McCord was exposed to a life of drugs early. By 12, he had been arrested for stealing crack, according to the testimony. When he was 15, he started running drugs up and down the East Coast to Shelby. It was McCord's 3rd trip to Shelby when he raped and killed Byers. We'll have more after this. It's time for the Sheriff's Report, recorded earlier for broadcast at this time. With the Sheriff's Report, here is Deputy McComas.
In the past 24 hours, we've had 209 calls. We currently have 168 in the jail, and we made 16 arrests. As far as incidents go, Pamela Campbell reported a felony larceny that was in the area of Lionel Street. We have state of North Carolina was the victim in possession of methamphetamine case and drug paraphernalia and marijuana, and that's all we have for the incidents. Moving on to the arrests that we had, Rashad Carson was arrested on a failure to appear with a misdemeanor. Joseph Hill was arrested on a failure to appear on a misdemeanor as well. He was given a $500 secure bond. Christopher Todd Green was arrested for misdemeanor larceny, inmate possession of tobacco, and providing tobacco to an inmate. He had a secure bond of $6,000. McDonald Wingo was held on a no bond for assault on a female. Carolyn Hogbin was charged with resisting a public officer as well as failure to appear on a felony and failure to appear on a misdemeanor. Her bond was $53,000. Lisa Wilson had a failure to appear. It was a misdemeanor. She's currently held on a $500 bond. Donald Owens was found in possession of methamphetamine, drug paraphernalia, and marijuana, currently held on a $1,500 bond. And Marquise Davis has a secure bond of $1,000 for a failure to appear, which was a misdemeanor. He has 2 counts. And that's all we have for today.
18 minutes past 8 o'clock. Well, the violent kidnapping of 4 Americans in a Mexican border city shook families across the Carolinas as they agonized for days, waiting to learn whether their loved ones survived a cosmetic surgery road trip that turned deadly. Questions about the attack persisted on Tuesday as officials reported 2 dead and sped the 2 survivors, both natives of Lake City, South Carolina, to U.S. soil. Relatives sought details, and federal investigators pledged to investigate how Lativa Burgess, Shaeed Woodard, Eric Williams, and Zendale Brown wound up in the crossfire of Mexican drug cartels, as captured on video that was shared online. Zalandria Brown, Zendel Brown's older sister, said, "I just want them to come home, dead or alive, just bring them home." The surviving Americans were whisked back to U.S. soil on Tuesday in Brownsville, the southernmost tip of Texas and just across the border from Mexico. The convoy of ambulances and SUVs was escorted to the Mexican military Humvees and the National Guard trucks with mounted machine guns. The governor said the wounded American, Eric Williams, had been shot in the left leg and the injury was non-life-threatening. It's quite a relief, Robert Williams said, the 38-year-old brother of Eric's brother. He was reached by phone in North Carolina. He said, I looked forward to seeing him again and actually being able to talk to him. Robert Williams was not sure if the other survivor, Latavia Burgess, was the one seeking the surgery. The survivors were taken to Valley Regional Medical Center with an FBI escort, the Brownsville Herald reported. A spokesman for the hospital referred all inquiries to the FBI. The two dead, Shaeed Woodward, 33, Zendel Brown, in his mid-20s, will be turned over to U.S. authorities following forensic work. Brown said her brother, who lives in Myrtle Beach, and the two other friends accompanied Burgess to Mexico across from Brownsville, Texas, where she believed she could get a tummy tuck surgery that had been scheduled. The four were as close as brothers and sisters after growing up together in a small town in South Carolina's PD region. She said they planned to split driving duties on their way to the medical procedure. Still, she said her brother had expressed misgivings about the possible dangers. Family members who were initially unaware of the trip were left anxious and confused as information trickled in from relatives and news reports. Zendel Brown's grandmother, Marie Singletary, said on Monday night she had been in denial since his sister told her the day of the abductions. Her grandson had not mentioned the trip when they last spoke about 2 weeks ago. Same thing with the family of Eric Williams. They remain largely in the dark. Sylvia Williams, his mother, said her son had not mentioned the trip when they talked by phone a week ago. She did not think he had ever traveled outside the United States before. Then by Tuesday afternoon, she said she had yet to receive any official updates. She learned about the surgery while watching the news. She had not heard that the Mexican government reported 2 of the American travelers had died. Jerry Wallace, Williams' cousin, said he had lost his appetite and was struggling to sleep due to worry, and officials should have been more forthcoming with the family. He went on to say it's really something to try to just wait and hear what's going on and not hearing anything. Robert Williams said he, too, did not know his brother was going to Mexico until the abductions hit the news. The brothers, whom he described as fairly close, are from South Carolina but now live in Winston-Salem. Williams called his brother easygoing and fun-spirited. He said he likely did not consider the trip dangerous. When he finally learned late Tuesday afternoon that his brother had survived, Robert Williams said he was relieved. Well, Sheriff T.J. Joy of Florence County, South Carolina, said federal investigators are leading the investigation and added that he had never encountered such a case in his 38 years in law enforcement. Lake City residents said it's not uncommon for people to travel as far as Florida or Mexico for similar procedures. Local, state, and federal lawmakers expressed support for the victims' families on Tuesday. Republican Congressman Russell Fry, who represents South Carolina's 7th District, tweeted that his office had been in contact with one of the families after hearing the breaking news. Lake City Mayor Yamika Robinson offered her condolences in a brief afternoon public statement in which she deferred questions to the State Department. And State Representative Roger Kirby led a moment of silence on the South Carolina House floor. He said information on the unbelievable and senseless killings seemed fairly limited and called for the hometown of Lake City to rally around the families. With as many people going to Mexico coming back with problems after having these surgeries, why in the world do they go? Well, last night's football. No, we're in basketball right now. We're in the ACC tournament. Got it up too early. The Tar Heels beat Boston College. Final score 85-61. That means the Tar Heels go to round 2. They play tonight. Airtime will be 5 o'clock, actually 5:30, as they play Virginia. 5:30 for the countdown to tip. 6 o'clock pregame, and tip-off should be a little after 7 o'clock. And if it happens that the game tip-off is a little bit late, don't worry. It means that the games before, somebody ran over. Maybe the game got tied up in the last part of the game. But we'll get there as quickly as we can after 7 o'clock. And last night we had a little issue. We had the power went out, and it knocked the satellite out. I had to come back, reprogram the satellite. So we apologize for being late getting the game back on. But I had to get over here to find out what was wrong with the satellites in order to fix it. So we do have the Tar Heels and Virginia today. Airtime will be 5:30. 6 o'clock countdown to tip, and tip off at 7 o'clock right here on WCAB. The forecast for today is going to be sunny with highs around 65 degrees. Now, it's going to start clouding up throughout the afternoon. Got a chance of rain tonight, lows around 45. Tomorrow, rain, highs around 60. And then partly clouded tomorrow night, lows around 40 with those wind chills as low as 29 degrees. Sports is next.
NCN Sports, I'm Nate Saunders.
4-3, back for Williamson for the win.
Davian Williamson hit the game winner for Wake Forest to lift the Demon Deacons over Syracuse 77-74 in the second round of the ACC tournament. After the loss, Syracuse head coach Jim Boeheim said this in the press conference.
I think you missed it. I gave my retirement speech on the court last Saturday, and I gave it in the press conference afterwards, and nobody except William Payne figured it out.
Are you saying right now that you're going to retire?
This is up to the university.
You want to come back?
I didn't say that.
Okay, but so what are you saying? You're not saying you're retiring, but you're not.
I just said it. I don't know.
So you don't know? Okay.
I said this is up to the university.
And you're not sure whether you're how will you make a determination about when you will come back?
You're talking to the wrong guy.
Syracuse confirmed after 47 years with the Orange, Boeheim will not be returning as the head coach of the men's basketball team. He led the program to 35 NCAA tournaments, winning the national championship in 2003. He's only second behind Coach K for most wins in D1 history. North Carolina and NC State both advanced in the ACC tournament as well. The Heels dominated Boston College 85-61, and the Wolfpack had no issues with Virginia Tech late last night in a high-scoring game, winning 97-77. So today in the ACC quarterfinals, Wake Forest will play top seed Miami at noon. Duke will get Pitt at 2:30, and Carolina faces Virginia at 7, and NC State faces Clemson at 9:30. I'm Nate Saunders. You're listening to NCN Sports.
Family-owned and Carolina-based, Coastal Agribusiness is in its 70th year of serving agricultural communities. Walter Byram is the Director of Fertility for Coastal.
There's been a delay in purchasing decisions because of the softening of markets. What's normally purchased in the fall wasn't purchased. Coastal Agribusiness is in a good position to help with the logistics, whether that's trucking, whether that's, if we find ourselves in a short planning window. We have, over the last several years, we have made investments in property. We've made investments with application equipment. We've made investments with tendering equipment, and along with securing certified drivers to get the product to the field in a timely fashion.
That's Walter Byram of Coastal Agribusiness. See more at coastalagro.com. Coastal Agribusiness, solutions for a productive future.
As we're less than a week until the start of the NCAA men's basketball tournament, it's going to be bittersweet for longtime CBS Sports broadcaster Jim Nantz. After 37 years, Jim will be calling his last Final Four, which will be in Houston, where he attended college and got his start in broadcasting.
I think it's the lock of the year. I'll have tears streaming down my face, but there'll be tears of gratitude for being able to have been entrusted with it for so long and to have had a front row seat to so many special moments. It will have been, when I called the title game, 354 NCAA tournament games.
After this year, Nantz will be replaced as the event's lead play-by-play announcer by Ian Eagle. Tonight in the NBA, the Charlotte Hornets go to Detroit. They'll tip off at 7, and at hockey, Philadelphia visits Carolina, also at 7. You're listening to NCN Sports.
Lou Gillum in the Blue Room. Your forecast for today is going to be partly cloudy, highs around 65 degrees. Cloudy tonight, chance of rain, lows around 45. For tomorrow, cloudy, still more showers, highs around 60 degrees. Partly cloudy overnight, lows around 40, but that wind chill as low as 35 degrees. Partly cloudy for Saturday, highs warming around 60. Partly cloudy overnight, lows around 35. And then Sunday, cloudy, more showers on the way with highs around 55. Showers continue overnight, lows around 40. That's your forecast for WCAB. And right now we're at 43 degrees and beautiful sunny skies at WCAB. Hard to imagine it's going to be raining tonight and tomorrow. Well, if you heard the morning call-around report, talking to Tina this morning, she was talking about hearing the sirens yesterday, and it was a statewide tornado drill. All of the fire departments set off their alarms, and all the sirens were blowing just as a precaution to make sure everything was working. Our emergency alert system fired as it was supposed to. And, you know, Tina's talked about, you know, in past years, we did practice the tornado warnings, get under your desk or get out in the hallway, cover your head. And I was going back through the newspaper, and she said now the students have to know how to react in case there's a shooter in the school. And when I went back through the newspaper, the March 4th edition, I found this one. The rumor circulated on social media that was believed to be a threatening violent act at a local school turned out to be false. Now, this was back at the beginning of March. Officials say that school safety is always a top priority and always urge the public to report anything that's suspicious. Now, on Wednesday night, this had to be Wednesday, March the 1st, law enforcement and school officials were made aware of a social media message that threatened violence at a school identified as CCHS. Now, some incorrectly interpreted that message relating to Chase High School. They went on to say, I assure you there was no threat reported to the administration or staff at Chase High School, nor were there any messages or threatened violence found written on a wall at Chase. That according to Principal Kevin Bradley. He said it in a statement on Wednesday evening. He went on to say, we do not believe the message at all is connected to our school or poses any threat to the students, employees, or visitors at Chase High School. Bradley went on to say all indications are that the message originated from another state. He said, tonight and at all times, the safety of our students is our top priority. We will continue to monitor social media activity, investigate real and potential threats, and take every necessary precaution to ensure a safe school environment. Then on Friday, March the 3rd, Rutherford County Schools spokesman Richie Garland said that there were no incidents related to the rumor on Thursday or Friday. He went on to say, unfortunately, sometimes false rumors can spread on social media, but we want the public to continue to report any suspicious activity or any information at all that may be threatening to the safety or to the students or the staff at any of our schools. The safety of our schools remains a top priority. So just that to add on to what Tina said this morning about the students having to practice what they would do in case there was a shooter on campus. Well, again, reminding you about the Bloodmobiles that will be today, 1 until 6 at Spencer Baptist Church, 1:30 till 6:30 at Gilkey School Community Center. And then mark your calendar for Thursday, March the 30th at Lake Lure Baptist Church. There will be a Bloodmobile from 10 until 2:30 in the afternoon. Well, Robin Spencer Lattimore of Rutherford will be a featured speaker at the 14th Annual Upcountry Literary Festival, sponsored by the University of South Carolina on Saturday, March the 18th in Union, South Carolina. The festival, one of the South's leading literary events, brings together historians, novelists, essayists, poets, and songwriters from across the region and the nation. Lattimore will present his book, On Bailey, The Enduring Legacy of Our Father's Fields. The book pays homage to the writings and historic preservation work of Dr. James E. Kibler, Jr., who owns the famed Bailey Plantation in Newberry, South Carolina. Lattimore's book details the rich history of the plantation mansion, its collection of original furnishings and artwork, as well as the surrounding 19th century garden. Robin went on to say, we are very excited to welcome Robin Lattimore back to our festival stage, said Randall Ivey, senior instructor of English at the University of South Carolina. He's one of our featured speakers in 2018 and was eagerly embraced by our audience. We look forward to his book and presentation and to a discussion about his many literary endeavors. And we're looking forward to Robin's book that'll come out in August, just in time for the Spindale Centennial Celebration. His new book, On the Town of Spindale. Robin, I've looked at a lot of his books, read a lot of his books, and Robin is a great writer. He really researches, gets all of his information he needs, and you are completely enthralled with his books. So congratulations to Robin. Thank you, Robin Lattimore, for the book that you are doing on Spindale Town Council. And this town of Spindale passed from 1923 as the town grew from a, I guess you could say, textile town up to what it is today. Well, to help coordinate several major infrastructure projects with the town, Lake Lure has recently hired an engineer, Michael Dula, as a full-time project manager. Town officials say he will work closely with the various engineering and construction firms, helping to coordinate their work and ensure that projects are completed in a timely manner within the budget. These projects include lake dredging, preparation work for dam replacement, sewer system replacement, and work on the wastewater treatment plant. There is a conceptual design that's looking for the work that's going to be done on the Lake Lure Dam. The current dam does not meet modern day safety standards. That dam was built in 1927. Now, officials have been studying the dam for several years, and since it's almost 100 years old especially. The dam contains an electrical power grid generating electricity that is sold to Duke Energy. Buffalo Shoals Road runs across the dam. Now, several years ago, an engineer assessed the dam and found out that while it is in fair condition, it does not meet modern safety standards and would likely not withstand a significant earthquake or a significant rain event that produces 20 inches of rain in 2 days. The North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality agrees with the town leaders that a total dam replacement rather than an upgrade is the most cost-efficient solution for the town. Preliminary plans call for the new dam to be located approximately 100 yards downstream from the existing dam. The existing dam would remain in place while the new dam is constructed. The road over the dam would likely be replaced with a new bridge slightly farther downstream. However, that has yet to be officially determined. 2 years ago, it was estimated that the total cost of the dam replacement would be $70 million. However, Lake Lure Town Manager Hank Perkins said this week that the cost will likely be more than that amount. He went on to say that the town has recently received $16 million in federal money for initial planning for the new dam. He went on to say also Lake Lure is now setting aside approximately $1.6 million per year to apply to the cost of the dam replacement. But however, there's always that however, major outside funding will also be necessary for the dam replacement project. Lake Lure Town officials, as well as Rutherford County commissioners, have advocated the state and federal level for funding for this project. We'll have more news right after this.
Too much of a good thing isn't always a good thing, like too many sprays of cologne, too many loops in a roller coaster, or too many rescue cats. But you can never have too many chances to win. That's why new Multiply the Cash scratch-offs from the North Carolina Education Lottery have more chances to win than ever before. With chances to multiply your win on the front and back, too much is just right. Easy, kitty. Must be 18 to play. Approximate overall odds of winning range from 1 in 3.24 to 4.83. Problem gambling helpline 877-718-5543.
Matt Mahan's Funeral Home and Cremation Services in Rutherfordton has been a family business since 1953, offering care, dignity, honor, and unique opportunities for families to create a healing moment after a loss. John McMahon and his fine staff bring experience coupled with perspective to help in paying tribute in a traditional or unique way. Call 287-4715 or visit online today at www.mattmahansfuneralhome.com. There, you can view current obituary information or pre-plan for yourself or loved ones. Matt Mahan's Funeral Home offers healing to the community through burial and cremation services, grief support, whether it's a funeral or a memorial service. Matt Mahan's Funeral Home and Cremation Services knows the importance of ceremony and will guide you in honoring the life and memories of your loved one. Call Matt Mahan's Funeral Home and Cremation Services today at 287-4715 or visit them at 249 South Main Street in Rutherfordton. There are plenty of drugstores in Rutherford County, but not all of them offer the same personal customer service that is offered at the Medicine Box of Rutherfordton. Laura Hodge and her team have trusted experience and professional service. You're not just a number to them, you're a friend. Make the Medicine Box of Rutherfordton your hometown drugstore at 200 Charlotte Road in Rutherfordton. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 1, 287-7117. Well, the internet was down when I got here this morning, and I'm kind of running out of news stories that I could scramble and find. I'm going to replay the sheriff's report for those of you who missed it. Here's that sheriff's report recorded earlier, and here is Deputy McComas.
In the past 24 hours, we've had 209 calls. We currently have 168 in the jail, and we made 16 arrests. As far as incidents go, Pamela Campbell reported a felony larceny that was in the area of Lionel Street. We have state of North Carolina was the victim in possession of methamphetamine case and drug paraphernalia and marijuana, and that's all we have for the incidents. Moving on to the arrests that we had, Rashad Carson was arrested on a failure to appear with a misdemeanor. Joseph Hill was arrested on a failure to appear on a misdemeanor as well. He was given a $500 secure bond. Christopher Todd Green was arrested for misdemeanor larceny, inmate possession of tobacco, and providing tobacco to an inmate. He had a secure bond of $6,000. McDonald Wingo was held on a no bond for assault on a female. Carolyn Hogbin was charged with resisting a public officer as well as failure to appear on a felony and failure to appear on a misdemeanor. Her bond was $53,000. Lisa Wilson had a failure to appear. It was a misdemeanor. She's currently held on a $500 bond. Donald Owens was found in possession of methamphetamine, drug paraphernalia, and marijuana, currently held on a $1,500 bond. And Marquise Davis, it has a secure bond of $1,000 for a failure to appear, which was a misdemeanor. He has 2 counts. And that's all we have for today.
Well, on Tuesday, sheriffs from across the state attended a news conference and Senate committee hearing at the State Legislative Building in Raleigh on Senate Bill 189, fentanyl drug offenses and related changes, speaking with a strong voice in support of the bill as a high priority. Fentanyl is a highly addictive opioid and has increasingly become deadly for our citizens and law enforcement officers in North Carolina and across the country. Fentanyl is lethal in very small doses. In fact, just 2 milligrams are considered a potentially lethal dose, which is equivalent to just a few grams of sand. The drug is a major contributor to fatal and non-fatal overdoses across the country, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Senate Bill 189 creates new methods for law enforcement to combat fentanyl, including establishing a new offense of death by distribution for delivery of controlled substances, increasing the punishments for other offenses of death by distribution of controlled substances, and increasing fines related to fentanyl trafficking. Fentanyl is a real life-threatening risk to the public and law enforcement officers. This legislation is a crucial step in the fight against this dangerous and deadly drug, according to Orange County Sheriff Charles Blackwood. He is the association's president. Law enforcement officers who encounter the substance in the field while conducting searches have themselves become victims of the potentially deadly effects of the drug. Officers in North Carolina have been the recipients of life-saving measures after encountering fentanyl during the normal course of their deputies. McDowell County Sheriff Ricky Buchanan traveled to Raleigh on Tuesday to stand in support of this legislation. He said, "We are seeing more and more drug overdoses and deaths from fentanyl. We continue to combat this epidemic by focusing efforts on those selling and distributing this poison," stated Sheriff Buchanan. He went on to say, "I'm happy to see our legislators focused on stiffening up the penalties on the distribution, preying on those with addictions." He went on to say it's great to see our Senator Warren Daniel as one of the bill's sponsors, as he continues to be a great partner for law enforcement. The association urges lawmakers to pass this crucial piece of legislation that could potentially save the lives of North Carolina citizens and law enforcement officers, and looks forward to seeing it move through the legislative process to become law. If you've ever watched some of those shows, what is it, Cops? Yeah. A young officer had come into contact with that, and she had a reaction to it. She almost died from the reaction she had. That stuff's dangerous, and a lot of these pain patches that doctors prescribe. Well, do you watch some of these programs like The Bachelor, Bachelorette? Well, there's a new one. It's called The Farmer Takes a Wife, and it's on Fox. Well, this reality show, Farmer Wants a Wife, has reaped a bounty love harvest since starting in Britain in 2001. The latest version's trailer boasts the show's editions in 35 countries and have yielded 180 weddings and 410 children. And it's America's turn, as 4 homespun American agriculturists look for their big city soulmate. In Fox's Farmer Takes a Wife is on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock. Now, each farmer has been paired with 8 women, picked primarily from urban areas across the country to see if everlasting love can grow in the heartland. People say this is Yellowstone meets The Bachelor. And a horse rancher from Black Hat Ranch in Watkinsville, Georgia, said we're just 4 down-home guys looking for love. And who are these guys? There's one from North Carolina, Farmer Ryan Black. He's 32 years old, a horse trainer, breeder from Gastonia, North Carolina. Alan Foster, 32, from Santa Fe, Tennessee, and Landon Heaton, 35, from Stillwater, Oklahoma. He's a cattle rancher and a farmer. And this guy from North Carolina kind of reminds me of a young Richard Roundtree. The prospective farmer wives are an eclectic crew, primarily from cities across the country. Georgia. One is a yoga instructor, a Nashville blogger. There's another from Manhattan who's a restaurant manager, a waitress. So these guys are going to see if they can fall in love. These girls can give up their high life in the big cities and go live down home. Now, the down home activities include tractor and horse riding, predictable manure shoveling, and don't expect bachelor hot tubs or fantasy suites. These are replaced by porch rocking, chair gazes, and respectful kissing. It's going to be a wholesome show you'll be able to watch with your granny and not have to ask her to cover her eyes and stick her fingers in her ears. Don't expect any bachelor-style rose ceremonies signifying prospects will stay on the show for another week. They don't do roses, according to Grayson. I present them with the idea, let's see where this goes for another week. They have to choose us as much as we choose them. They can say no and go home anytime they want to. So that's a show you can sit down and watch with the whole family.
Runners, to your mark. Set.
Some may see a sprinter. At the NFHS, we see a future leader already off to the races. Some may see a volleyball player. At the NFHS, we see a spike in confidence that will help her achieve her potential. What else do we see? Musicians learning to march to their own beat. We're the NFHS, the national leader and advocate for high school athletics and activities in America, helping today's teenagers develop the skills they need to become tomorrow's leaders. And we see it happening in communities across North Carolina every single day. Learn more about the NFHS commitment to youth at nfhs.org. This message presented by the NFHS, the National Federation of State High School Associations.
The future depends on teachers. Every day, teachers are shaping our tomorrows, starting their students on journeys that will change the course of history. Right now, in a classroom somewhere in the United States, there's a teacher inspiring a future scientist who will make preventing pandemics their life's work, sharpening the mind of an aspiring environmentalist who will help combat climate change, and generating possibilities for a student who will be the first in their family to graduate college. It all starts with teachers who meet challenges with creativity, who reinvent education for the future. who work towards a school system that lifts up every child, regardless of race, income, or zip code, and to enable the full potential of our students, our communities, and our country. Explore a career that leaves a legacy you can be proud of. Shape the future. Teach. Learn more and receive free support at teach.org.
Well, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is asking doctors to be on alert for an antibiotic well, I got to pay for it. Well, never mind. Well, I'm running out of news, so I'm going to break away, join back at 9 o'clock. For those of you who are joining us by streamer, I'll bring you back at 9 o'clock in time for My Great America. So we're going to break away for some music, and we'll be back at 9 o'clock.
Listening to the radio drive.
in the hospital after a fall while out to dinner last night in Washington. No word on his condition, but the Kentucky lawmaker is 81. Also in Washington, President Biden will detail his budget plans today while on a visit to Philadelphia. There's serious concern about the debt ceiling. The U.S. has reached it and still no plan to raise it. Parts of California are bracing for another round of severe weather. Up to 8 inches of rain now possible along California's northern coast, with ongoing states of emergency in nearly 36 counties due to crippling snow, some 15 inches in the mountains. In Virginia, no charges against the 6-year-old boy accused of shooting his teacher in a classroom. A prosecutor locally saying he's too young to understand the criminal justice system and whether he's competent to stand trial.
The boy's family says he suffers from an acute disability. They claim the legally purchased gun he took to school had been locked away. The family is saying, "We have been cooperating with local and federal law enforcement to understand how this could have happened." The prosecutor says he's still going through the evidence to determine any other potential charges.
ABC's Andrea Fujii. You're listening to ABC News.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
First-time unemployment applications jumping last week by the most in 5 months. Claims up 21,000 compared to the week before. But at a total of 211,000, unemployment is still near historic lows. Unleashed overnight on Ukraine, a new barrage of Russian attacks. More than 80 missiles fired over the course of 7 hours.
This is the largest attack on Ukraine since the beginning of the year, and Russia fired 6 hypersonic missiles, which Ukraine says it's proof that they're running low on more conventional weapons. This is as the battle for Bakhmut rages on.
ABC's James Longman in Ukraine. Israelis welcoming U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin with protests. Demonstrators calling today a day of disruption, protesting the proposal by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to overhaul the country's court system. And with the Oscars coming up, there's been a change.
One of the questions about Sunday night's Oscars was, how will Best Actress be presented? Traditionally, the acting categories are presented by the opposite gender winner from the year before. So Best Actress this year would be presented by last year's Best Actor, Will Smith. That's not happening, as Smith is banned from the show for 10 years after slapping Chris Rock. So at a press conference, executive producer and showrunner Ricky Kirshner revealed some changes have been made.
ABC's Jason Nathanson. This is ABC News.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
I'm Derek Dennis, ABC News.
Lou Gillum in the Blue Room. Your forecast for today is going to be partly cloudy, highs around 65 degrees. Cloudy tonight, chance of rain, lows around 45. For tomorrow, cloudy, still more showers, highs around 60 degrees. Partly cloudy overnight, lows around 40, but that wind chill as low as 35 degrees. Partly cloudy for Saturday, highs warming around 60. Partly cloudy overnight, lows around 35. And then Sunday, cloudy, more showers on the way with highs around 55. Showers continue overnight, lows around 40. That's your forecast for WCAB. It's 5 minutes past 9 o'clock and 47 degrees.
It's time now for My Great America with Jim and Butch, a conversation about positive things about this great country. And now here are Jim and Butch.
Hello, it's My Great America with Jim and Butch. Jim has some much-needed things he had to do today, and so it's going to be me here alone in the Blue Room. Those of you that are current and consistent listeners will know there are times that I call in. I do want to say this, though. I can't do this without the able and incredibly important help that Lou Gillum is giving behind right now. Okay. And, we, every single time we come to you with My Great America with Jim and Butch, we try to give you positive, uplifting, but insightful interpretations of what's going on in the marketplace. And there's a lot that's going on. And so today I'm going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to talk about the upcoming county convention for the Republican Party on Saturday. But before I do that, because you're listeners and because we're close and we're a family, I want to read you a media release that was sent out on March 10th. It is with the heaviest of hearts that we announce to our team that FreightWorks here in Rutherford County is shutting down. Several major customers required massive rate and volume concessions in the last week. Although we have been adapting to the changing freight market, the customer request far exceeded the scale of what we could absorb. Our first priorities are to our employees, our customers, and our creditors based on recent events. The most responsible path forward is to wind the company down in an expedited manner. We're making sure employees are paid, loads are delivered, and other financial disruption is minimized. We express our deepest gratitude to our team for their dedication, loyalty, and exceptional service. And of course, this has been picked up by media, and it's part of what I'm working on here today, as well as the last couple of days. A major media source said a North Carolina trucking company notified over 200 drivers, employees, and mechanics on Tuesday it is ceasing operations after 11 years after some of its major customers demanded massive rate and volume concessions. FreightWorks Transport, LLC, doing business as FreightWorks Transportation and Logistics, headquartered in Rutherfordton, operated 186 power units with around 140 drivers, according to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration's SAFER website. In a video message to employees and drivers, Joyce Sequeira, Vice President of Operations for FreightWorks, said, "The most honorable path that we can take for the benefit of our employees, our customers, and our other stakeholders is orderly closing the company." She said the company was unable to see a path forward after a few of its core contract customers abruptly demanded significant rate reductions amounting to many millions of dollars. The death knell occurred when one of FreightWorks' largest contract customers pulled a significant percentage of the company's freight on February 28th. This has had an immediate and very devastating impact on our ability to make payroll, let alone cover our rent, truck payments, and other expenses. Several other events that same day compounded these already overwhelming challenges. In an incredibly weak freight market, we are simply unable to replace this lost freight with enough profitable work for us to be sustainable. The asset-based truckload carrier was founded with one truck in 2012 after production exceeded sales at the small family-owned biodiesel plant, FuelWorks, founded by FreightWorks President and CEO Josh Farmer in North Carolina. The company was hauling mainly perishable items at the time of its closure. These are hard announcements to make, but, we made a promise here at My Great America and here at WCAB. We're just going to tell you the truth. The reality is our economy is in a bad place. This is just, they talk about the canary in the coal mine. When the trucking industry starts to have trucking entities like FreightWorks shutter down, it begs the question, what's happening? Well, what's happening is that things are way worse than they were a couple of years ago. And our program is not designed to be political, but I will tell you this. Are things better than they were 3 years ago? Not in the trucking industry. No. No. And you look at Canton, the paper mill, it shut down. 850 employees lost their job. Why? Well, that begs the question. We ought to ask the question. Over 8,000 people were influenced or affected by that decision. And so, look, those of us that follow Jesus know that this world is not our home, but we're called to occupy and be involved and encouraging and faithful as we're on the earth, which we are now. And so this is it's a hit. But you know what? There is clear evidence in Scripture that we can be resilient when we put our trust not in politicians, not in people that are navigating the political side of the equation, but they're doing what? They're invoking the living God. And Jeremiah 29:11 makes it very clear. God's plan for us is a good plan. It's not a bad plan. So in the middle of all of this, which has been unbelievable, I've looked at scores and scores of drivers and others saying, this is the best company I have ever worked for. It's caring, it's loving, it's guided by biblical values. And so in the midst of all of this, our prayers need to go out to the FreightWorks people, but we also need to look at the light in the midst of it all. The 74 and 221 considerations, the deal was done with Love's. They purchased the real estate. We are going to, as a county, emerge out of this and other stories that may come with a strength and a conviction about what the nation is really all about. So I didn't want you to hear it secondhand. The Daily Courier did a digital story yesterday, and in the midst of all of this, we're going to move forward aggressively. Now, I also wanted to make sure that those of you that are interested, and you better be interested, the Republican County Convention is this Saturday. Right, and so we gave details on Tuesday for that, and want to make sure that you go to the RCGOP website, and you can find all the details. Starts at 8 o'clock. It's going to be in Forest City. I believe the venue is called 138 or something like that. Show up at 8. Go online to RCGOP. And I just want to say this real quickly. It's absolutely incredible for a rural community like Rutherford County to have 100-plus people come to their monthly meetings. And Jim, who's not here today, he's got other things to do, Jim told me there was a time where getting 8 or 10 people for the Republican Party was absolutely unheard of. And why has that happened? Well, I'm just going to say this. I believe in large measure, it's because of the diligent leadership of the RCGOP. And, I have to say this again. Many people forget it. I'm the only person in the county who's written speeches for Barack Obama. There's nobody. If there's someone else, let's have coffee. I was a Democrat until 2016. Whole story of my life. Jimmy Carter, on his last days, he was the first presidential candidate that I got behind. I got Wheaton's college students canvassing the whole western suburbs and was a Democrat my entire life. And some things changed. And the thing that changed the most for me was the abortion issue. God made it very clear. You cannot murder children and then claim to have some high ground politically. You can't do it. So I have the credibility of having worked inside the apparatus of the Democratic Party my entire life until 2016. No, if someone else in the county wants to debate that, I'm willing to do it. But that credibility and what God did in my heart is the reason I shifted to the Republican Party. Are they perfect? Absolutely not. Do they have flawed characters? Yes, like me, people that need Jesus. But having said that, the radical transformation of Rutherford County into a Republican-dominated county, every precinct is now plus Republican. Everyone in the entire county of Rutherfordton. It's a story that the entire state of North Carolina knows. And why did that happen? Well, I believe it happened because honest people good-hearted people stood up and they showed up and they said, these are the values that we want. These are the things that we're committed to. And what are those things we're committed to? We're committed to things like small government, committed to things like national defense, defending our borders. And, you know, and people say the abortion issue, Butch, you make too much of the abortion issue. Not really. Not really. I've got a daughter on the streets right now who's addicted to fentanyl in Phoenix. Right. And apparently she may be pregnant. This is what I was told a couple of days ago. And what do we make of all of that? Well, as a father, you want to help. You want to help. But we also know that the easy answer for a lot of people is, let's just get an abortion. There are women that are trying to get across the border that take the morning after pill with them that they buy in Mexico. Why? Because they know they're going to be raped along the way. That's just not acceptable. It's not acceptable as a nation. It's not acceptable as a people. And, you know, if Jim was here, he'd say, Butch, you're on your high horse, and I probably am. 2 Corinthians 1, 3, and 4, in the Amplified version of the Bible, says, blessed, gratefully praised and adored, be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, the Father of all mercies and the God of all comfort, who comforts and encourages us when in every trouble. Why? So that we will be able to comfort and encourage those who are in any kind of trouble with the comfort with which we ourselves are comforted. It doesn't matter about our political party affiliation. What matters is, what are we doing with the people that are distraught? I mean, I go get my coffee at the Exxon in large measure because they're homeless people that come out of the woods. And they know that some guy is going to be there. And I try to get them coffee and maybe a little breakfast and ask them the question, how did you get to where you are? And people don't care about our presence, P-R-E-S-E-N-T-S. They care about our presence, P-R-E-S-E-N-C-E. And, you know, we can speak a lot of platitudes. We can talk about we care. But you know what? If you're not willing to jump into the sewer with people sometimes, they don't really know that you care. And nobody will ever learn. They'll never learn unless they know they're loved. Love never fails. It says it in 1 Corinthians 13. And, you know, I have a lot of friends on both sides of the aisle up in Washington, D.C. My dear friend, Gary Andres, a Wheaton College classmate, he is now the Republican staff director for the Budget Committee. And the Budget Committee's got a lot of influence. And look, I'm not somebody that says that every Republican does things right and every Democrat does things wrong. I know people that love Jesus on both sides of the aisle. But what I do know is that our nation is in a very precarious place. And in some ways, perhaps our county is too. We've got to get a hold of what it means to really love and to care and encourage and to show up when people have needs. I was reading about this recently, and it reminded me of where we currently are right now. You know, what's really interesting, when you look back on it, there were people during the Civil War, and some people suggest, like Dennis Prager, who's a friend, and Sebastian Gorka and others, suggest we may be on the front edges of a new civil war in America. And I don't know if that's true or not, but I do know this. Our history reveals the reality that we were at a place at one point in our history as a nation where things looked like it was going to just teeter and fall apart. And for many people who study history, it feels that way. Again, listen to this. The South believed that the North was threatening their way of life, that it was their sovereign right to secede from the Union, and that the peculiar institution of slavery was ordained by God and upheld in the Bible. That, of course, is absolute sin, wrong, evil. But they believe that. I mean, Robert E. Lee, you know, he used to have daily devotions, reading the Bible in the midst of defending slavery, which is evil and wrong. The North believed the South was in rebellion, and if allowed to secede, would destroy the Republic. In a famous letter to Horace Greeley, whose strong and anti-slavery newspaper editorials helped to stir the North to oppose slavery, Lincoln said that his first priority was saving the Union, not destroying slavery. But to save the Union meant to solve the problem of slavery, a constitutional government founded on the principle of equality for all who had come to the breaking point. Paradoxically, and this is the day and age that we're living in, Democrats and Republicans, okay? Back in the days, prior to the Civil War, was the same mindset. Paradoxically, each side believed unequivocally that God was on its side in the conflict. And look, guys like Rob Bell, Wheaton College graduate, a friend, writes a book called Love Wins. You know what the premise of the book is? Everybody goes to heaven. Well, that's not what my Bible says. It's not what my Bible says. But people can be passionately deceived just as much as they can be passionately motivated to make a difference. But the difference, the truth that sets us free is not our truth, not our opinions, not our self-interpreted, I watched this movie, I saw this thing, I read this article, I saw this in a magazine. No, the only truth comes from where? God's Word. And if we're not in God's Word, which most of America's not, according to the data that's been produced by Pew and Barna and the American Bible Society, people will just be flown into the maelstrom and the tsunamis and the hurricanes of their own opinions. Based on what? Based on what? Nothing that's anchored in truth. Paradoxically, each side believed unequivocally that God was on its side. From early colonial days, New England political and religious leaders had considered themselves as God's chosen people. With the start of the Civil War, Southerners invoked the favor and guidance of the Almighty. Those that were reinforcing the evil principle of slavery were using God's Word in a proof text kind of way to do that. In their Constitution, they proclaimed themselves a Christian nation, the South. People of all walks of life, ministers, generals, political leaders, newspaper editors, went so far as to claim that God had ordained the war and was sovereign to determine its outcome. Nowhere was the religious paradox stated clearer than in Lincoln's second inaugural address of March 1865 at one of the darkest moments of the war. Both North and South read the same Bible, pray to the same God, and each invokes his aid against the other. It may seem strange that any men should dare to ask a just God's assistance in wringing their bread from the sweat of other men's faces, but, let us judge, nor that we will be judged. The prayers of both could not be answered. That of neither has been fully. The Almighty has its own purposes. In the end, and the reason I'm talking about our history is because our schools don't teach history anymore. No, we live in a woke reality where so many people want to kind of freshen it, and change it, and make it this, that, or the other. No, truth is truth. Very few people go back into original documents. The National Archives, who's been there? Who's gone there and actually read what these different leaders said? No, we go through the shallow water skiing across what is supposed to be truth, and it's not truth. It's not. In the end, over 3 million Americans fought in the Civil War. 2% of our entire population perished. It saw the end of slavery and ushered in a new political and economic order. As the era of Southern plantation aristocracy ended, the powers of the federal government expanded, and the days of big industry and business began. The clash over federal and state rights, which we're in the middle of on so many different issues, not just abortion. The clash over federal and states' rights finally came down to a struggle over the meaning of freedom in America. At Lincoln's Gettysburg Address in 1863, perhaps he was prophetic when he said the war was about a new birth of freedom. We are forgetting our history, and we're letting cable news pundits interpret history for us, and we should never do that. If you want to know truth, get into God's Word. If you want to know history, don't go to People magazine. where their most important motivation seems to be how many times has so-and-so been married, or a Hollywood star that only lasted 6 weeks. Or, I just have to say this. Jesus died for them, but I'm tired of discussing the royal family. It's like life is too short. Life is too short. And in the midst of everything that we're dealing with as a nation right now, what's really important is for us to get back to one seminal truth. And in Rutherford County, it's one seminal truth. And that is this. Who is your God? Who's your God? Your God may be your television. Your God may be the magazines you read. Your God may be your political figures. Your God may be yourself, your own opinions. But each and every day, we're given the opportunity to answer the question, what will you do with Jesus? It's the most important question that's ever been asked in over 2,000 years. And, I'm going to have the opportunity here soon to go up and meet with my Hasidic Jewish brothers from Rockland County in New York, 30 minutes from downtown D.C., on a new business venture. We're going to spend time in the halls of Congress, meeting with people, talking with people, encouraging people, and trying to determine ways to move some things forward with a plan to revolutionize the 911 system in America. It's a quick little aside. Most people don't realize across the country there is such a deficit of 911 operators that there are people that call in. A baby's choking, a baby's dying, somebody's feeling like they're having a stroke, somebody's having a heart attack, and 2 hours later, they get a call back. I mean, our system is antiquated and it's broken. And it's not a Republican issue, it's not a Democratic issue, it's a we care about people issue. And so this group of Hasidic Jewish men, with the history that I've had in Israel and with the Jewish community through the years, has said, would you be an advisor to us on a patent-protected way, app-based platform to change the 911 system? So I'll be up in Washington. I will see old Democratic friends. I will see Republican friends. I have no stones to throw at anyone. We're all people that need the same thing, which is what? The light and the love, the care and the redemption that only comes from one place. The God of my understanding gave us His Word. His Word. And most Americans are not in it. That's just the truth. It can be empirically demonstrated. And so why does it seem like we sometimes have people bumping into each other in Congress trying to figure out what to do, or the White House? Republicans and Democrats. This is not a slam on Democrats at all. We're all people. We're all people. And I believe at the end of the day, the only solution, the only provision, the only platform of any kind that will give us truth moving forward is not some hyped up version of what the Republicans say or the Democrats say. It comes down to the human condition. Yeah, it's like, what am I doing every day to reflect the love of the living God? All right, so Jim and I will be back on Tuesday. I'm grateful for Lou's help behind the board here. This is My Great America with Jim and Butch. Today it's just Butch with some thoughts on his heart. Have a blessed day.
Jim and Butch.